it is a good representation of what was of the show back then. The voices are a little slanted, I think.
Yeah. And with that being said, we are live with another episode of BS Busters. And, I'm joined by the usual, the squad is in. So I'll let the lady introduce herself, then the gentleman who's not here quite as much as he'd like, but we're glad he's here. And then old Ironside, the main man, the guy who's been here for a long time too. And then myself, and then we'll dive into it. Lady?
Surely. Of all ages, welcome to the BS Busters End of the Week podcast. I am Joria Moonstar. Plenty to work with today with the news.
All right. Kadosh?
It's Ganashi Abomanitos here to say, shameless plug, the OnePlus 7 Pro is probably the best smartphone I've used.
All right. Pinky?
This is Piggy Don from Video Game Facts, now called Video Game Editorial in our new WordPress website. Just let you guys know, I'll be dropping off mid-podcast to get some pizza,
All right.
but I'll be back sooner or later.
That's okay. And of course, it's me, Mr. Red Fox. So, with that being said, we've got some news coming out this week. Some stories, some stuff like that. So, let's get to it. So, the first thing is that apparently people are angry about Panty Party, the physical edition of Panty Party coming to the Switch.
I'm not angry, I'm saying, what the heck?
Well,
It's one of those weird perverted video games that comes once in a blue moon.
Well, here's the problem with I have three problems with this game. First of all,
Underage is one of them, I bet.
Oh, I mean that's the third one. I gotta get the first two before you get the third one. The first one is that you can tell this game is made by men who fetishize and fantasize about this, because I can tell you right now, I was one of those kids who was how can I put this nicely?
Was part of the panty raid?
No, I was very precocious. So I actually did get my hands, get to see young ladies' underwear, and I don't know about other people. I can't speak about other schools, but at my school, the girls were not wearing sexy panties with a bow on it. A lot of them were wearing granny panties. Some of them wore boxer shorts. Like not boxer shorts, but like brief type things for women. Like occasionally you'd get the old white granny panties, but nothing you'd say, man, that's sexy. Like what the I'm sorry, it wasn't happening. 15, 16-year-old girls was not wearing sexy underwear. I mean, really, I'll keep it real. If I saw a girl when I was at that age, in that age group, wearing sexy underwear, I would have been surprised. I'd be like, shit, what type of freak are you with sexy underwear? So first one,
Some things
I don't buy
just
those kind of
themselves.
yeah, you can
games.
tell that.
If you're not the audience for that particular game, I don't know why you're freaking out about it.
Well, I mean, I'm not freaking out about it because I wasn't gonna buy the shit anyway. I'm just saying it's you can tell.
About those people. I was talking about those people who are freaking out.
Yeah, I'm just saying you can tell this was a game made by men who fetishize young girls, because I'm just saying young girls aren't wearing this. They aren't wearing these type of underwear at 15, 16 years old. But I mean, maybe it's just my I went to a private school, so it is what it is.
Some things are best left unknown, Red.
I mean, it takes place in Japan, so maybe it's common there.
I don't think they're wearing those type of underwear in Japan either.
As I said, it's left unknown.
No, I mean, because in Japan, in Japanese schools they had to wear uniforms.
Yeah, and we wore uniforms, so I just don't know. I just don't, like, here's the irony, right? I went to private school, and looking at how schooling is done in Japan and how my schooling has more in common with Japanese schooling than public schools here in America, which is weird, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying, these dudes are, like, really... Like the only thing that gets me is in today's modern culture is when I go someplace and I see a girl who's like in high school, and you can see, and they're wearing something kind of skimpy, and you can see they're clearly wearing a thong. Like it's like, really, you're just gonna wear a thong? That's really not healthy. It's not good for your bits. But that's neither here nor there. My second problem is that.
The gameplay is not good.
No, I know nothing about the gameplay. Like, people say, oh, they like the fact that Nintendo doesn't censor their eShop. I'm like, look, this game should not be on the system.
This is one of those times that should have been censored.
Yeah, this game should not be on this system. I'm sorry. I'm not saying this game shouldn't exist. I'm saying that it should not be... It should...
On Nintendo product.
Now, it could be on Nintendo product, but, like, this should be, like, something, like this should be, like, well, I mean, it is already kind of like that, where it's, like, kind of like, you got to go through back channels to order it, stuff like that. And thirdly, yeah, these are all underage girls, and most of the people playing this are, like, men in their 30s and 40s, and, the only reason a man in his 40s should have his hands on a 15-year-old girl's underwear is if that's your daughter and you're doing the laundry and, oh shit, what the hell is this? That's the only reason you should have your hands on a young girl's underwear in your 30s or 40s. That's it.
Not even that, because that will imply that you're committing incest.
No, if you're doing the laundry, if you're doing the family laundry and like you accidentally handle your wife's underwear, your underwear, like you have a young teenage daughter's underwear, that's not incest. That means you're doing your laundry. I mean, if you do your laundry, you're gonna have to handle underwear. That's just this. It goes part in, it goes.
It's part of doing the laundry.
Yeah, it's part of doing the laundry. There's nothing sexual about it. It's like, you gotta,
Separate the whites from the colors. You gotta separate the bleach from dry clean only.
Oh no, that's if you get one of those shitty wash and dryers. I got one of those HEs where you can mix everything together, and as long as you use the right type of detergent, it cleans it all. It's great. You don't have to do any of that separations unless it's something that will bleed, like a red shirt or like a dark blue that's shitty quality.
That's the only thing that I worry about. Bleed color.
Because then you'll accidentally have a red shirt with a whole bunch of whites, and they'll turn pink, which is not fun.
And you the questions that come up when laundry day comes done, that happens.
Yeah. So, what are your guys' thoughts on Panty Party? Sorry, I got the title wrong. Don't want to cast aspersions on this fine AAA game. If you can tell, I'm being facetious.
I will put this firmly in the WTF column and let it be as long as I could keep away from it.
All right.
In the words of Peter Griffin, oh my God, who the hell cares?
Okay.
Haven't been a visitor of that part of the Twitter community. I'm already seeing perverts excited for this game.
Well, I mean, you can like whatever the hell you want. I really don't. I personally am not. Like, here's the thing, okay? It's a game. It's a work of fiction, if you will. And works of fiction get. Like, it's the reason why you can have the most depraved works of fiction, because they're works of fiction. They're not real. It's not real. It's in your head. So because of that, like, you don't have the same level of, oh my God, this has to happen type shit going on. With that being said, I'm just saying, I wish Nintendo, because here's the thing. I wish Nintendo censored their shop a little bit more, or at least had a section that was like, okay, these are like games.
These are for the
Games.
M-rated games.
This game. don't even put it on my shop. I don't even. There's a reason I don't even really go into the Nintendo eShop unless there's a game I really want and I don't want to buy the physical version. I don't feel like dealing with that bullshit. I feel kind of bad about it, but you know, whatever. Let's see. I guess we can move on to the next news story, unless anyone has anything else they want to add about Panty Party. Anything?
No, I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
I think we can move on from this.
Okay then. I'm not even gonna touch the Joel Schumacher story, Pinky. I'm not, because if I touch it, I'll have an aneurysm and I'll die on this podcast. I will literally have a stroke.
I'll give you a tilt here. According to Patrick William, we should appreciate the Joel Schumacher Batman films for being true to the source material in comparison to the Batman movies that came before and after, being campy as heck.
Well,
in the comics.
I mean, he's both wrong and right. He's right in that originally Batman was very campy. Like basically Batman was campy in the 60s, the 70s. Well, not the 70s so much, but the 60s, the 50s, the 40s. Batman didn't become dark until Frank Miller did Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. But what people don't realize is that The Dark Knight Returns is a parody of Batman. Like the whole point is that it's supposed to be a parody of the character. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. The problem is that comic movie, except for Schumacher's Batman's, has basically cribbed off of that dark tone for Batman. That dark, ultra serious. You know, I'm a tortured soul. I talk like this. Which
this week's podcast.
No. I was just saying that. Okay, we can move on. So basically, here's some news. The new Saints Row game is deep in development at Volition. Yay!
That's good. Hopefully, it's better than that other game.
Finally, competition against Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, well, they're also working. Agents of Mayhem is what you're talking about. Agents of Mayhem wasn't that bad. It just wasn't what people wanted. People wanted Saints Row 5, and they made Agents of Mayhem, which was basically a G.I. Joe video game. Except, here's the thing. It was a G.I. Joe video game where you had 3 playable characters that you switch between in missions and in the open world, but it wasn't multiplayer. It was single player, which is weird.
Yeah.
And they're also they also switched developers for Dead Island 2 yet again, and they bought Time Splitters, so we might get a Time Splitters maybe. Yeah.
It's Dead Island. Yeah, Dead Island 2 is one of those games. Kind of wonder, is that game happening or not?
Well, they've had like 3 different developers working on it, which means it was probably getting rebooted 3 different times. I mean, here's the thing. I like the first Dead Island and its expansion. I think they're not perfect games. Like, Dead Island is not the perfect game. It's fun, but, like, okay, the trailer for Dead Island made it seem like it was going to be the serious, dark, open world.
Yes, because of the music.
Well, not just that. Just, like, what they showed, like, a little girl being zombified and attacking her father, and like it's like, wow, this is kind of rough. Then you play the actual game, and it's basically Zombie U without the gamepad. It's basically in more RPG elements and longer. It's basically what it's like an RPG. You have stats, you level them up. You play one of like 4 or 5 survivors of the zombie epidemic on this island, and you basically do what you have to do in order to survive, in order to get off the island. That's it. It's nothing, you meet other survivors that you like team up with in order to get off the, I mean, it's a zombie game. I mean, it's like, okay,
It's a zombie survival.
Yeah, it's a zombie survival game. Like, it got people hyped up for something else, because that's what trailers do. They get you hyped up for something else, and then you're like, oh man, it's not what I was anticipating. But what I really want to talk about is the new Saints Row game. Yeah. So what do you guys think? What would you like from the new Saints Row game? What would you not like? What would you be looking forward to? What? Just
I'm actually curious of how they can yet again, or what the f can they do to make us do a
Well, considering the third game had you basically taking over a new city, the fourth game had you in that same city, but it's like a simulation with superpowers, and the the expansion from the fourth game had you go into hell. Like, where can you go from there? You know,
Go to space?
they already went to space in the fourth game.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
I'd say heaven, but that'd be a little much.
yeah. Personally, here's what I think they could do for the next Saints Row. Reboot the franchise. Now, when I say reboot, I don't mean like a hard reboot. I mean a soft reboot, where maybe because at the end of Saints Row: Get Out of Hell, depending on which character you're playing as, you get the same. You can choose the ending, and one of the endings is that Johnny Gat or Kinsey Kensington make a wish to basically reset time and bring back the Earth. But it changes reality. It changes reality completely. So it's like the events of Saints Row 3 and 4 never happened. So what if they do that, but the only character who remembers what the Saints became is your player character from Saints Row 2, 3, 4, right? So Saints Row 5 could be your character in a mental institution having to break out and being like, I gotta get the Saints, I gotta get the gang back together. Except, like, it's an alternate reality. So, like, they don't remember, or they might have, like, this weird, like, phantom memory of the shit happening, but they have some other threat going on. I mean, that could work. I think that could be a valid thing to do in a Saints Row game. But that's just my own personal opinion. What do you guys think?
It's gonna be beep seeing the Saints come back.
Yeah, I just hope they have more player. I hope they bring back more player customization options. Because, like, with each iteration of Saints Row, they kind of dumbed it down and streamlined it to the point where it's like, I mean, and it was kind of gradual. Like Saints Row 2 had a lot of the same stuff. It expanded on the first Saints Row. Saints Row 3 was kind of a downgrade. Like in the first Saints Row, you could change your cadence, how your character walked, how they talked, how their voice was. Whereas Saints Row 3 and 4 basically just gave you, well, you can have a black guy voice, a white guy voice, a English thug Cockney voice, and that's it. Like if you were a dude, and if you're a woman, same thing, just kind of slightly different. It's like, you know, it's cool you let me choose from one of like 40 different ways to insult and greet people, but like I liked being able to change the cadence of how my character walked, so you can make your character have a slightly crazy walk to like this motherfucker might kill somebody. You know.
I think we might need some water here.
No, I've got a frog in my throat. But yeah, new Saints Row game, deep in development of Volition. Hopefully, it'll be better than Agents of Mayhem. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. Knock on wood. On my wooden desk that my computer's at. Hopefully it will be. Or they could incorporate Agents of Mayhem into that world. Like Johnny Gat or Kinsey Kensington made that wish, and now the Saints no longer exist because this is a world where reality has changed, and your main character from Saints Row 2, 3, and 4 is like, you know, we have to deal with a new threat, but there's no Saints to deal with that threat, so that could work. I mean, I don't know what they'll do. I do know that the studio that makes Saints Row, they love to use the same engine over and over and over again. So whatever the engine is, it's going to be using that Agents of Mayhem engine. Which Agents of Mayhem, the actual gameplay was solid. The story was kind of shit, and how like the characters weren't really characters. They felt more like action figures that you played with. Whereas the characters in Saints Row, like even your homies, felt like people to an extent. Kind of.
Yeah, I gotta play through 3. I started playing through 3, but I never, you know, just a lot of games and whatnot. But I gotta play through 3 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, little simple things. Like, you could get in the car with one of your homies and drive around listening to the radio, and if a song comes on, they'll start singing along with you. Like, that's just, like, kind of like a little touch where it's like, oh, that's cool, you know? That's a nice little...
Yeah, that is cool.
That's a nice little aside. Like, Agents of Mayhem had none of that character. It was like... it was like, come on, man. You're not even gonna... Agents of Mayhem had cool-looking characters. Agents of Mayhem felt like you were playing with G.I. Joe action figures, but you didn't have the box with the little story that told you about the characters on the thing. So it's like, this character looks really cool. I know nothing... which is kind of like the downside of Agents of Mayhem, is that it just kind of like I said, it was a good idea, solid game, but like everything, the framework around the game didn't work. Moving on. Anyone else have anything else they want to say about a new Saints Row game coming out? Going once.
Let's see. I was thinking if they're gonna add any more features to your character customization, so you can make your character look as ridiculous as possible.
It would be cool if they took off the gender lock for certain hairstyles and stuff like that. So you could have a dude who looks like he's a Rastafarian transvestite. with lipstick on and dreads. Wearing a dress, beating the shit out of people and throwing them off of roofs. Because Saints Row was always like, the first Saints Row was like, oh, it's basically GTA. Saints Row 2 was like, it's GTA but crazy or crazier. And then Saints Row 3 was like, fuck it, it's GTA but crazy, but crazy, even crazier. And then it was like Saints Row 4 was like, well, it's GTA with superpowers. Like, basically, superpowers in Saints Row 4 negated all the vehicles. They're like, you have all these vehicles, I don't need them when I can fly or sort of fly. You could basically run and glide for like long periods of time. So, Get Out of Hell, they added flying. Like, you could literally fly in that game. It negated every single vehicle. It's kind of like,
why walk? Why drive? Why surf?
Yeah.
Over everything.
It's kind of like in Breath of the Wild. Like, once you figure out how to use the glider, it's like horses are superfluous. It's like, why would I ride on a horse that can be killed when I can just glide everywhere? What?
The only thing that could beat something like that is instant teleportation.
Yeah. It kind of ruins the experience a little bit, just a little bit, just a tad, So.
I mean, how can you beat such transport?
Yeah, but you can teleport in the game too. You can teleport from watchtower to watchtower. Observation tower. Next we have King's Bounty 2 is revealed. ICN. Yeah, Jewel, you were gonna say something?
I was about to say that's one that I'm not aware of. Some filling in here.
Well, King's Bounty is essentially, how can I put this? It's basically Heroes of Might and Magic before Heroes of Might and Magic. Like, it beat Heroes of Might and Magic by like 6 or 8 months to the market, like the original game. And then I think the rights were bought by another studio, and they released King's Bounty: The Legend, and then like several other games in that series. I have all of them on Steam, and it's basically like. It's a game where you go around on a map doing side quests and missions, and then after you do the side quests and missions, you let's see, what do you do after that? You get into fights with various monsters and enemies, and then it goes to a isometric view where you're on a map with like a hexagrid with hexagrids. Hexagonal
grids.
Yeah, hexagonal grids, and you move units around, and like terrain is important. It's basically kind of like Fire Emblem to an
Those
extent. Yeah.
those those D&D bottles that you see in the stores.
Yeah, kind of like that, or more like Warhammer.
Ah, that's how I was thinking.
Yeah, it's more like Warhammer. D&D uses a square grid, or D&D 4.0 used a square grid. This is more like hexagonal, like Warhammer, but same general gist. Except you can stack units. So like if you have a unit of knights on horseback, it's like 5 knights on horseback for that one like unit, or swordsman. It's like 5. So basically, as they take damage, like your men begin to, their HP goes down, but also the kind of an interesting little thing. I just thought this was kind of cool because, I mean, I like King's Bounty, but they completely changed it. Like the King's Bounties that they released years ago were basically a throwbacks to the original King's Bounty, just with prettier graphics. This one is actually kind of like an open world action adventure game until you get into a fight, and then it turns into the traditional like hexagonal grid, move around, take out enemies type things. It seems like an evolution of the franchise is what I'm saying. So, anyone have anything they want to add before we move on to Power Stone?
I was about to say, I'm thankful for the information that you gave, and now get some more.
Yeah. No, I know no one cares about King, because King's Bounty is more of a PC. Is more of a PC game. It's like, I think the last time it was on console was on the Genesis way back in the day. So I don't think anyone cares about it. But here's a console game that people care about. Power Stone producer would love to make a new installment. Thinks it would be perfect for the Switch.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, because 4-player multiplayer support, unless you can rank it up to 8 players.
And not just that, but most of Sega's fan base went to Nintendo after Sega kind of imploded as a console manufacturer. Yeah, I mean,
Some would say exploded, but implode works.
yeah, I was never that into Power Stone, but I know a lot of people are into Power Stone. Even though I have both games, I just was never like, oh, Power Stone, it's great. I'm like, it's all right. I guess because I just didn't really give a shit about the characters, you know. Because like I don't really care about these characters.
Now, if only you got an HD port of the first 2 Power Stone games.
Yeah, I think that's why Smash Brothers kind of captured people's attention more than Power Stone, even though Power Stone essentially was Smash Brothers before Smash Brothers, because Smash Brothers used.
I was about to say, Smash Brothers uses a meter to HP mode, while Power Stone was an HP mode only.
Yeah, but what I was saying was that
Smash Bros is 2D, whereas
it can happen in different items and all that. Like Power Stone did that first, except it was 3D versus 2D, but I mean Power Stone really, that concept of that type of battle, like Power Stone was one of the first games that really captured that niche. The problem was that it was on the Dreamcast, and the Dreamcast sold abysmally. And secondly,
I was about to say
beating the shit out of each other versus just like the generic Capcom characters in Power Stone. It's like, I don't know who you are. Like, they didn't even have like other Capcom characters. Like, I think Power Stone would have been a little bit more iconic had they had Mega Man, Ryu, Captain Commando, Arthur from Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins, whatever. Maybe the Red Devil from Demon's Crest. Like I think Capcom had enough characters. They could have put some iconic characters in there, and it probably would have been a little bit more. Would have captured the public's imagination a little bit more, instead of like the niche game that a few Dreamcast owners give a shit about. Is what I'm saying. But hey, what do I know? It's so
we're just
I'm just spitballing here.
playing around.
Yeah, would you guys like to see another Power Stone game? And if so, what would you like to see in a new Power Stone game?
Nothing much really other than any interesting new characters they're gonna add in alongside with returning ones.
All right.
New powers, new items, and hopefully find a way to customize the battlefield or customize the fight styles so actually more able to be played in certain events. So people that like to be competitive can stay. Throw down these rules and let's get it on, and watch them get their be Sunday.
Okay. All
That's
right.
probably colorful, but okay.
All right. All right. I think just like maybe adding a more robust story mode would be cool, and maybe an adventure mode. Add some depth to the single player. Because, I mean, the multiplayer was pretty spot on. Like, you just go and beat the shit out of each other. That was kind of fun. But you're right. Maybe adding the ability to customize your move set, you know, to tweak it to the way you want so that you could do something a little bit different. That'd be cool. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let's see here. Okay. Basically, a guy on Nintendo Enthusiast. Anyone have anything else they want to say about Power Stone before we move on? Kenoshi?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So, Jeffrey McDonald from the Nintendo Enthusiast says he's tired. It is an op-ed piece on Nintendo Enthusiast. He's tired of Nintendo drip feeding NES games on the Switch. I neither agree nor disagree, but I know some people might feel strongly either way or not care. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
I don't care. I mean,
I'm
have places where I can play those games anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
If anything, I'm more than tired of people complaining about the NES app, and just because they're how impatient they are to just wait until the SNES app eventually comes.
Man, they want to give Nintendo their money, but they're just making it hard for them to do that. But that's neither here nor there. So we got one person's tired of complaining, two people who don't care. All right. Next little bit of news.
I'm just having my laughs.
Yeah, this is movie news. This is movie news because movies. We do talk. This is cinematic news. To no one's surprise, I said this when this shit was announced a year ago. When they were making this shit, no one gave a shit about this. Sci-Fi's Krypton canceled after season 2. Lobo's spinoff also did.
Why are we not surprised?
And for those of you who don't know, it was the Krypton spinoff was about Superman's grandfather, because when people were reading Superman stories and Superman comics, they were like, you know what? Fuck this Kal-El dude who's going around saving Earth and fighting supervillains and fighting and joining the Justice League and all this shit. I want to talk about Superman's grandfather. That's what I want to know.
I mean, at least it's fresh and original.
It's fresh and original doesn't mean it's always good.
Like, let me put it this way: I am not the most hardcore Superman fan. I'm a Superman fan. I'm not the most hardcore Superman fan. Like, I don't have all the Superman comics because some of the early ones are really fucking expensive. But if you ask a hardcore Superman fan, hey man, do you want to watch a TV show about Superman's grandfather? I'm pretty sure 95% of them would say hell no. Like, I don't think. And if you ask someone who's not a Superman fan, would you watch a show about Superman's grandfather? They'd probably say hell no. And as we can see from this shit being canceled, we were right.
Be right back. My pizza's here.
All right, like no one cares. No one cares about Like, no one cares about Superman's grandfather. Like, DC has this thing where they keep on making shows about, like, prequels about shit no one cares about. Like they option this thing on Epix about Alfred Pennyworth, but it's not like old Alfred who's like, man, I wish Master Bruce would stop dressing up like a giant bat beating up poor people. This shit's getting old. It's ridiculous. Do you know how many gunshot wounds how many bullets I've had to pull out this motherfucker and sew up?
Probably too many to count.
Yeah,
And
like Alfred, like the real hero of Batman isn't Bruce Wayne or Batman. It's Alfred patching up this stupid son of a bitch. But he's like, I'm getting tired of your shit.
Especially since he keeps those of people with guns.
Yeah.
And we all know what guns do to flesh and other.
Well, guns, knives, bullets, katanas. Like, Batman is not in a good place. But also, the Lobo spinoff was also announced is also dead because people didn't want a Lobo spinoff. I'll be right back. I gotta go put something in my fridge.
Who's Lobos?
Lobo.
Lobos
Lobo?
is a trick.
Lobo is basically he was DC's answer to Deadpool. Like, he's a parody character making fun of the dark, gritty characters of the 90s that they created. The dark, gritty, I'm so dark. He's a parody of that. Like, he's just he's an asshole character. He's basically their answer to Deadpool. Except he doesn't break the fourth wall. But aside from that, he is...
Which is kind of sad that he could answer to Deadpool, but he went so gritty and dark that they became unfunny. Well, it's hot.
And then when they relaunched the New 52, they rebooted Lobo into a emo pretty boy, serious, angsty pretty boy. And the fans of Lobo were so pissed off that that they had to retcon that in the middle of the New 52, where the old version of Lobo comes in and kills the new version, and no one cared. They're like, good, fuck that guy. Like, people like Lobo the way he is. Like, Lobo, like, okay, you know how Jason Momoa was as Aquaman? My man!
Sure.
Like, all just like, take that, take the way he acts like that, put him into space, put him on a space bike, make him about as strong as Superman when Superman hasn't been charged up, and make him crass with bad humor, drinks a lot of beer, is a bounty hunter, but the same general, yeah, my man. That's basically Lobo. Like, that's why I was surprised they made Jason Momoa Aquaman. I'm like, why didn't you just make him Lobo? He already is Lobo. He's fucking Lobo already. Here, I'll show you a picture of Lobo. I'll go look it up, because, like, literally Jason Momoa, like, Lobo. Here, let me, if you go on,
This is on the Discord server.
oh shit, it's not going, goddammit. It's not going. See, now I gotta go and fucking go look shit up. People know I'm lazy. There you go.
Oh,
That's Lobo.
yeah.
Like, all you gotta
him
do
is the Black Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, all you
That's
gotta do is make
whole
Jason
thing.
Momoa look a little bit more pasty, but keep the tattoos and shit. And he's already got the white dude dreadlocks. I know he's like, well, I'm actually Samoan. Yeah, whatever. But he's already got the white dude dreadlocks, the dirty looking dreadlocks. So, look, just give him a cigar. He's Lobo. I don't know why they made him Aquaman. I'm like, why would you make this dude Aquaman? He's Lobo.
Yeah, seriously, how the hell somebody like that into the least powerful superhero DC?
But yeah, Lobo is Lobo. I mean, basically, yeah, he's their answer to he's their answer to like the the cool um badass characters. Like he's there just to basically, kind of. Here's a picture. Here's a Bruce Timm version of him. For those of you who don't know who Bruce Timm is, he's the guy who did Batman the animated series and the
And
New
if I
Adventures of
remember,
Superman.
Superman one too, didn't he?
Yeah, he did that too. They also did like Alpha 9, which was kind of like not Alpha 9, the Zeta Project, which was the one about the robot that ran away. He also did Batman Beyond, which was also good. Like Bruce Timm, just really,
He's a legend.
he's unsung hero of DC animated series, and they just don't give him enough credit.
How come they haven't made a movie of this character yet?
I don't know. I'm like, here's the thing. Zack Snyder likes dark, gritty shit. Lobo would have been perfect for Zack Snyder, because all Lobo is dark and gritty with a twisted sense of humor. Would have been perfect,
Yeah, I mean,
but like really, the DC cinematic universe has been badly run for years now at this point. So I mean, why start now? Why start getting shit right now? Why?
Because they want to be known as something better than Marvel, which we all know.
No, that ain't gonna happen.
Leads.
Yeah, that anytime someone with a movie property or any type of property says it could be the new Marvel, come on, man, don't do that. Like Marvel right now is where Star Wars was 30 years ago. Or no.
Yeah.
Not even 30, like 35, 40 years ago. Where like Star Wars was like everywhere and just like making money hand over fist. Like that's where Marvel was. We also have so next little bit of news. The lead producer of the next Dragon Age game leaves BioWare. So they had the guy who's the guy in charge of Anthem. He left. The creative director behind Anthem left, and now the guy who's the lead producer of the next Dragon Age left BioWare. And people like, no, BioWare's fine.
When your leads are starting to run for the hills.
Yeah, BioWare is fucked.
Well, two main people who left several years ago. And
yeah, well, BioWare was fucked when the two guys who founded BioWare left the company. Like, when your founders leave,
it's time to abandon ship.
Yeah. That's when a company's really in deep, deep doo-doo. And I know I'm a grown-ass man, and I shouldn't say doo-doo, I should say shit, but you in deep dookie when your founders leave. Yeah.
I'll say, at least be appropriate.
But, yeah, so...
It's like getting your legs cut off beneath the knee. Or at least getting your legs cut off, period.
Yeah.
As well be put into a chipper and Watch they slowly get grinded to and pulp.
So,
Well, BioWare's grave is hot and ready.
let me put it this way: it would take a miracle. It would take a miracle for it would take a fucking miracle for the next BioWare game to be good. Like, it would take a miracle for the next Dragon Age to be good. Because Dragon Age Inquisition was so fucking shitty. You know, it was so bad that I don't know how, it could be good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I feel kind of bad about it, but,
At the same time, it's satisfying to know that the trash that did something wrong is finally getting their due.
Okay, so basically, Dragon Quest Your Story gets slammed by fans online to no one. Didn't I tell people? I told people when they made this shit. I'm like, there's no way they're gonna be able, because it's supposed to be based on Dragon Quest V. Dragon Quest V is known as having one of the most epic stories in Dragon Quest history, and there's no way you're gonna be able to translate that into a hour 30-minute movie. You can't. And they didn't. They didn't even bother.
A fruitless endeavor.
Yeah, it was a fruitless endeavor. It was, it was a fruitless endeavor. And to know, I mean, I'm not going to watch it, so I'm going to anyone going to watch it? Anyone upset by spoilers?
If anything, I'm just wondering how the heck that bad? Was the story that terrible?
Well, here's the spoiler, okay? At the finale of the film, when the hero is supposed to confront the final boss, right? Suddenly, the boss reveals that the entire movie has been taking place in a Dragon Quest VR game. and the hero is being controlled by a human player that's been trapped in the game, and that the boss himself is just a programming bug taking the final boss's form. The slime that's been following the main character the entire time is an anti-bug program that gives him the sword Aloto, which he then uses to defeat the villain and escape the game world. That's some bullshit right there. I'm sorry. I didn't even watch this, and I'd be like, if I was sitting in a movie theater and saw that as a Dragon Quest fan, I'd be mad too. I'm sorry. I'd be like, what the fuck is this bullshit? They would have done better making an original story set in the Dragon Quest universe.
Hearing all that, my mind blue screened.
Yeah, it sounds stupid, doesn't it?
Was that even possible?
Yeah, it sounds stupid, doesn't it?
It sounds so over the top. I thought it was an Ichigi. Travel to another world animation, mind you.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of those animation things.
No, it's just called stupid because, this shows that Square Enix, they
should not ever jump into the movie business.
They should stop trying to adopt their games into movies. Like, for Dragon Quest, they would have done better just making an original story. And not trying to adapt Dragon Quest V story. Because Dragon Quest, first of all, these are, Dragon Quest games are games that take between 40 to 80 hours to complete. You cannot condense that down into an hour-and-a-half movie. You can't condense that down into a 2-hour movie.
That's like trying to squeeze for the juice.
It's like, hey, guess what? We're gonna make a Lord of the Rings movie. Oh, so you're gonna break it up into no. Lord of the Rings Part 1, 2, 3, Hobbit. We're all gonna put that into one movie, and it's gonna be 2 hours long. Shit. Oh. Yeah. You can't do it. You can't do it.
That's like trying to cram a year of college in a month.
Yeah, basically, you can't do it. You cannot do it. I don't care how efficient you are with your time, you can't do it. But that's basically
they should have made it several movies.
yeah, or a
If they're
TV
gonna make
show. A TV
TV
show would have been
show, yeah.
appropriate, like a 10 episode OVA or like a 5 episode OVA would have been fine. But Square Enix just they you know look Square
They're the
Enix been
king of
fucking
hip-hop.
up for years.
They don't know
Yeah,
what they're fucking doing.
yeah, they've been
They don't know
fucking
what
up for
they're
years at this point. Yeah. Just like that Final Fantasy 15 movie. If you want the full story, watch the movie. What RPG where you have to watch a fucking movie to get the full story? That makes no sense.
Yeah, you messed up. You royally messed up.
Like,
You should feel ashamed of you.
it makes no sense.
It's non-logical.
It's illogical, Captain. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we're at the last little bit of news. Let me see if there are any questions, comments, concerns. People just want to get mad and talk shit. Nope, no comments. So with that being said, we're at the end of the the news. So
Do you got a joke section here?
no, I guess we can get to the free topic. I'm off the top of my head. Okay. Since the general overall title of this is nostalgia, what nostalgic property do you think could legitimately commercially be brought back now and be successful, commercially successful, like actually come out and be popular and make money? Who wants to go first? Video game, movie, doesn't matter.
That's a tricky one because I'm trying to think of one, but the only one that might come to mind, and that's going to be a little tricky. Maybe G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe. Well, I mean, they already made a G.I. Joe movie. For anyone here who is, well, actually, I may be the only one who saw this. I went to go see Hobbs and Shaw, and it basically was a G.I. Joe movie. It was the G.I. Joe movie we deserved. Because basically, you got Luke Hobbs and Alistair Shaw, and you've got like a villain. You've got the villain is a guy who used to know Hobbs, and he's got like Shaw, and he's got he's got cybernetic implants to make him more badass. They've got like little G.I. Joe Cobra vehicles, except like they totally get murdered. and like the G.I. You know how like the G.I. Joes never got killed in G.I. Joe? Except for that one time the Cobra Commander killed Hawk. Like no one else dies. Well, that's the same thing in this thing, because in Hobbs and Shaw, like literally the Rock jumps off a skyscraper and fucking knees a guy into a like lands on a guy on a vehicle, and he just gets up like it's nothing. I mean, god damn.
That is a little bit WTF.
It's G.I. Joe the movie. That's basically G.I. Joe. And since The Rock was already in a G.I. Joe movie, why not just make it official and make it G.I. Joe? But yeah, I agree with you. G.I. Joe could be brought back. But here's the thing. If we bring back G.I. Joe, we have to bring back Cobra Commander.
Yeah. And the G.I. Joe series, which would include him.
And if we bring back Cobra Commander, then which version of Cobra Commander? Are we going with like the new Cobra Commander that was Joseph Gordon-Levitt? Or are we going with old school Cobra Commander who was, you never saw his face and he talked like this? Ah, Cobra! Cobra! You haven't seen the last of me, G.I. Joe! Like, are we bringing back old school Cobra Commander?
Yeah, that is the easiest villain of all.
Yeah, he was kind of lame, but I liked his lameness.
It's because he he has no credit and he loses a lot.
Yeah. He lost a lot. I liked it though. So with that being said,
Do you got one?
yeah, and I'm gonna let Kenoshi go, and then I'll go. Kenoshi, you have an old nostalgic property you think that could be brought back and be commercially viable these days? Because I mean, Jules got a good one, GI Joe.
I could have went with
I
another,
don't know.
but I did.
G Gundam.
G Gundam.
Yeah.
I could see that.
That's the only Gundam show I actually had remotely any interest in.
I like G Gundam. I thought it was relatively good. I'm glad that it wasn't the usual colonies versus Earth shit that they do in every other Gundam series.
Yeah.
You know, it's the colonies versus Earth, man. Please stop. I'm so tired of this shit. The colonies versus Earth. Stop it, please. So I guess it's my turn. Well, I was gonna say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they've already done Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so
They already did a reboot, and the latest reboot,
it's trash. Yeah, it's trash. Yeah.
it
So
makes me miss. It makes me miss the teenage the 2000s.
that one wasn't that bad. The 2000s wasn't that bad. It was a little darker than I liked, but it wasn't that bad. I guess I'll have to go with Conan the Barbarian. I think you could totally do a Conan the Barbarian TV show. Make it dark, make it gritty. Because here's the thing, right? Conan the Barbarian is basically Game of Thrones crossed with Hercules, the legendary journeys of Hercules. Except you could totally just like you could basically do it in like cheap ass locations because Conan the Barbarian is set in a low fantasy world, so there's not a lot of magic being slung around, and when there is magic, it's very like there's a lot of preparation that needs to go into it. So like most of it is just dudes with swords and shields killing each other. So you'd have to have it on something like Netflix or Amazon or Hulu, like something where you can show blood and guts. And Conan has a lot of sex, so there's going to be some titties popping out. I'm just saying, but you could make it work.
Yeah.
You could totally make it work. Yeah. Conan the Barbarian. So we're on our final topic, the free topic, and we were talking about if you could bring back a nostalgic property, if you could bring it back and make it into something commercially viable. Not just you'd like it, but it's got to be able to sell and make money.
Did I miss anything while I was away?
Well, you missed a lot, but I mean, it's no use going back over it now because we already moved through it. We plowed through. Well, no. We went through. The only thing you missed was that Sci-Fi canceled Krypton to no one's surprise because no Superman fan wanted to watch a TV show about Superman's grandfather. Like. It's like, I want to hear about Thomas Wayne. Like, no one gives a shit about Thomas Wayne. The only purpose of Thomas Wayne is to get shot in an alley. Okay, that's your job. Okay, to fuck your wife, get her pregnant so she has Bruce, and then get shot in an alley. That's your job.
Wasn't there a comic art regarding Martha Wayne being part of a cult?
Yeah, but that's bullshit. Yeah, you know, it's like here's the problem with doing expanded shit about pre-established characters. You have to it fucks up canon. It's kind of like how Sony wanted to do this spin-off with Aunt May where she was a super spy when she was younger. But here's the problem with doing that. If Aunt May was a super spy when she was younger, how the fuck did Peter Parker fool her canonically in the comics for years that he wasn't Spider-Man? Because if you're a super spy, you know this shit. She like literally dudes living under a roof. I didn't know he was Spider-Man. Like that makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's
At least until her dying breath in the Clone Saga, where she said that she knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
yeah, you know.
That's a stretch, isn't it?
Yeah, but she didn't die in the Clone Wars because they brought her back. So it's like that's the problem. That's the problem with making shit that expands on established information because it fucks up pre-established canon. Like in the Star Wars comics, they released this shit where Boba Fett fought Darth Vader with a lightsaber and was holding his own, which makes no goddamn sense. Because I don't care, because this is the man who got taken out accidentally by Chewbacca. Sorry, by Han Solo in the sand carrier and fell into the Sarlacc pit. But he could take on one of the most dangerous Sith Lords of all time. Yeah, with his weapon of choice.
That is WTF.
That's bullshit. It's total and complete bullshit. And that's the problem with establishing. That's the problem with all of this. Well, we can expand. No. Look, make your own shit. Stop expanding on pre-established shit. Unless it's something that there's nothing that you can infer from the established canon. Which is why George Lucas had such a chance with the prequels, and then he fucked it all up. He had a chance. It was right there, and he fucked it up. Oh, we also talked about how Dragon Quest 5.
Dragon Quest,
Yeah, Dragon Quest 5, the movie. Yeah, when I read the spoiler, I'm like, yeah, I can see why. Like when I read the spoiler, I was like, yeah, I can see why Dragon Quest fans are pissed. I was like, normally I would say, well, you know, maybe, but in this case, yes, I understand exactly why they were pissed off.
Well, to be fair, the movie title should have given them a hint.
What, your story?
Yeah.
I mean, look, man, look. Here's the thing, okay? I said this when Square Enix announced that they were going to make this movie. How the fuck are they going to encapsulate Dragon Quest V? Like I said, is considered one of the more epic Dragon Quest stories. How are you going to encapsulate that into an hour-and-a-half movie? And I'll be damned, they fucked it up. I mean, it's, you know, Square Enix has proven that they need to stop making movies out of their properties because they can't do it. The only video game company I've seen that's been able to make a movie about their property and it not suck was Midway with
Mortal
Kombat, and the Pokemon Company with Detective Pikachu.
What about the Tomb Raider games with Angelina?
Man, people were watching that movie because Angelina Jolie was fine. That's why they had that shower scene with Angelina Jolie in it. That's why people watched that movie. Because Angelina Jolie was hot. That's like Angelina Jolie isn't classically hot. She's like, this chick might put a cigarette out on my shoulder while we're having sex at the moment of in flagrante delicto. So it's gonna be fantastically hot and painful at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, it's not like she's like dangerous hot. She's like, man, this girl's gonna slash my tires, but the sex before she slashes my tires is gonna be great. That's Angelina Jolie, especially at that time. So, Grandia HD is coming out. The HD collection. It's going to have.
I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be $39.99, and it's gonna be
which I have to flinch because that's $20 per game.
My only flaw is that it's the Grandia HD collection, but it doesn't include Grandia Extreme. which I'm like, okay, you've got Grandia 1, you've got Grandia 2, you don't have Grandia 3 or Grandia Grandia Extreme. That bothers me.
I know, that's the thing that bugs me. It's about two of the biggest games for just $20 each.
Because normally when someone says collection, you think that's going to be like a wide array of games. But really, this is a duology. It's just 2 games, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing that bugs me. It's only the first 2 big games.
Yeah.
And nothing from the others.
Found even more movie-related news. The first deleted scene for the Super Mario Brothers movie was published online.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. I just didn't want to talk about it because Bob Hoskins is one of my favorite actors, and I just, I don't want to dredge up bad memories. Bad memories. Because through like most of the shooting for that movie, Bob Hoskins was drunk out of his mind. Like I don't want to disrespect my main man, Bob Hoskins.
He's probably drunk out of his mind because he's like, I'm doing this?
Yeah, this movie is so shit.
He
was just coming off of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is one of the best Robert Zemeckis movies of all time. Like, it's up there with Back to the Future and Forrest Gump. Like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is really good. And then, like, he went from Who Framed Roger Rabbit to this. This turd.
I'm just amazed about. I wonder how much money that is at the near like the end of the movie.
Not enough.
Even throughout because they had to get a lot of licenses for those.
It was a financial flop. All right. Yeah. The actors got paid. That's what people don't understand. The actors typically will get paid regardless of whether or not a movie is a flop or not, unless they do a deal where they get back in residuals, which a lot of actors who have like a slew of movies, like Robert Downey Jr. probably got residuals on every time he showed up in Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, the Avengers movies. He probably got residuals. Plus whatever they paid to retain him to be in those movies. So he got a lot of cash, which is why they basically finally killed his ass off. They were like, oh, we don't have to give this motherfucker any more money. And him and Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson, and they're like, we are tired of giving you all this fucking money. God damn, let's get some new people in here who'll take less money. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because those people weren't cheap.
No. Especially now that they're big. Of course, the guy who played Thor, he's like, shit. Chris Hemsworth, he's like, look, after Men in Black International flopped, I gotta get back on that horse. Although we all knew Men in Black International was gonna flop, because.
Yeah, but I was like, because I remember when I saw the end of that movie, it's like, holy crap, whose organs do they have to chop off and sell to get these licenses for all these cartoon characters?
What? Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a very interesting time, because here's the thing, okay? At the time when Who Framed Roger Rabbit was made, Disney, this was before the Disney Renaissance, so Disney's animation department was failing. Like, they were fucking failing. So they were desperate to get something out there, right? So they were glad to have the exposure, right? Warner Brothers was still riding strong, so they had a position of strength, but they also wanted to keep up the momentum. So basically, you had all of these old cartoon properties that just, like, people wanted to keep them on board. Saturday morning cartoons were still on. They were doing reboots of these old characters. They wanted to expose them and bring them out there. So it was actually the perfect time. You could not make Who Framed Roger Rabbit today, because everyone would be like, well, my character can't do this. My character can't. Like, that dueling scene where you have Daffy Duck and Donald Duck dueling pianos and trying to outdo each other and like attacking each other while they're playing the piano? You couldn't do that shit now, because Disney would be like, oh no, you can't have Daffy Duck beat up Donald Duck. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? One of my favorite films. I have the unedited version where you can see Jessica Rabbit's.
Going commando.
No, she's not commando. She ain't got nothing on. You can see everything. you can see. How can I put this down? You can see her rosebud.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Yeah. You can see it. It's a brief flash. It's like less than a second, but you can see it. It's there.
It's fast,
They
thankfully.
even took the time to draw that.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the same thing where she's got a booby trap. It's a literal booby trap because the weasels try to stick their hands in her dress. It's a booby trap. He's like, a booby trap. I like it. Like, here's what people don't understand. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is based on a book called Who Censored Roger Rabbit, and it's about desegregation in old time Hollywood, because the tunes.
But it's of tunes.
Yeah,
people in a sense.
Yeah, the tunes take the place of black people, because Eddie Valiant is really attracted to Jessica Rabbit, but she's a tune, and he has to deal with that. Oh man, I really want to fuck Jessica Rabbit, but she's a cartoon. And yet I hate cartoons. Like, it's like, really, once you get that, it's a noir story, but it's set in race. It's got racism and with cartoons. Like, it's this heavy message that they mask behind. Oh, they aren't black people. They're cartoons. I mean, really, it makes it seem a lot like how people treat cartoons, how they treat them like shit. How they treat them as a commodity just to make money.
It's funny how Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a lot more accurate with awards treats cartoons.
Yeah, it's really dark. How Eddie Valiant I have the Blu-ray of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where they basically show the deleted scene where Eddie Valiant gets thrown in jail and he basically gets raped in jail by cartoons. But they don't rape him. They basically put this thing on his head that turns him into partially a cartoon, and it terrifies him. Look, like, that movie is way deeper than people think. I think I'll add that to my curriculum for the next time I do my film appreciation course. But anyway, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, really good. But yeah, Bob Hoskins went from that to the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Hello.
Too bad.
Yeah, but hopefully the next Super Mario Brothers movie will be good. Because hopefully the people who direct this movie will have actually played a Super Mario Brothers movie. Because the problem with the Super Mario Brothers movie is that the people who made the movie had never played a Super Mario Brothers game. I'm like, how the fuck are you gonna make a movie about this and not played a game? Not played the game.
It has the name Super Mario on it, so they can get all the money.
I saw it. I was like, this is some bullshit.
Yeah, speaking of how people would treat cartoons today, if you were to create Roger Rabbit today, you saw that with Nintendo and with
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph. They were very difficult to work with. It came to they wanted to put Bowser in that scene.
Yeah, they were like, oh, well, we can't have it this way, we can't have it that way. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. I mean, I'm sorry, but I get so...
Yeah, it becomes too much.
Yeah.
It becomes too freaking much.
I'm like, dude, like, yes, these are your IPs, but this is the shit people grew up with, and you should be happy that people are that interested in it. Because really, it could be like Sega, where Sonic the Hedgehog is giving blowjobs behind a dumpster somewhere.
Yeah.
Mega Man's giving handies.
Yeah.
Let's see. Area 73. I don't know if it'd do well, but I'd be curious to see a reboot of Krull. Oh shit, that'd be awesome. Krull, a reboot of Krull with better special. Well, the original Krull had really good special effects, so I can't really say the special effects would be better. Because, I mean, the thing is, it would all be CGI now. And CGI looks so shitty. Like, if it's really good, it looks so good that it's fake. Or if it's shitty, it's so shitty that it looks ridiculous. Like, I haven't seen CGI yet where it's like, it hits that sweet spot.
Well, for me, I thought did all right with. Again, I'm talking about the special effects when it comes to this movie, and that's Star Wars Episode 7, where they kind of mixed CGI with the practical effects.
Uh, I mean,
To me, that looked alright.
yeah, but they used more practical special effects in that movie than they did CGI. They had CGI, but it wasn't as heavy as the prequels.
And isn't practical effects cheaper than CGI?
It
Is it more
varies.
Not
expensive?
exactly.
It depends. Like, here's the thing: practical special effects, cost-wise, like in terms of actual money, might be cheaper than CGI. The problem is that the time, like if you factor in labor, it's about the same, but
Yeah.
CGI is faster. Like, okay, if you have to create a creature in CGI, if you have to create a creature with practical special effects, okay, first you have to do the model. Then you have to build the suit, if it's a suit. If it's actual puppetry, you got to build the mechanics. Then you got to build the outside. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of labor. And then there's no guarantee that what you built is actually going to work. It's actually going to do what it's supposed to do. And so with that, they go with CGI because it's quick. It's like, oh, well, you know, like we did a green screen and then we'll just add it in post. You know, we'll do it after everything's shot and then they'll just build it in post. But the problem is that the problem with CGI versus practical is that practical, there's something actually there. Your brain's like, it's there. It's on screen. Even if it's a shitty practical special effect, it's there. There's something there. Whereas CGI, if it's really, really good, you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, you know, like if it's so good that it looks fake, if it's so good that it just looks fake, or it's so shitty that it looks ridiculous, like that, those are basically your two extremes, because it's very hard to capture that middle ground. Like, I've only seen it with Jurassic Park, where it was a lot of practical with a little bit of CGI. And like Star Wars Episode 7 is a lot of practical with little CGI. Like the problem with a lot of films now is that they use a lot of CGI and a little practical. You know. So but Krull I think could work. I would like to see a Krull movie. If they use more practical special effects, I would be down with it. If they redid it now, it would be a lot of CGI and it would look fucking ridiculous. And Area 73 has another comment. Miyamoto will definitely be keeping tabs on the next Mario Brothers movie.
I think an example of a movie that had way too much freaking CGI was that Wizard of Oz movie that came out a few years ago.
You mean Oz the Great and Powerful?
By
Yeah,
Sam
the
Raimi.
CGI was it was too much.
You know, I would say another movie that had too much CGI was Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, and Justice League. Justice League, it's like all the CGI of that year was used in that movie. It was so much CGI. I'm like, God damn, this shit looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also, X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, X-Men Apocalypse. Like here's the thing, okay? Like when you look at when old shit looks better than new shit, that's a problem. Like Man of Steel, like they were like, man, this is badass. I prefer the special effects of Superman, the old Superman, or Superman 2. Like when Superman's fighting Zod, Ursa, and Nan, like when he's fighting Nan underground, you don't see their fight, but you see the results of their fight. You see like buildings leaning here and there. You see like sewer caps getting blown off. You see the street cracking, shit like that. And that's a film technique where you're being cheap and you don't want to show everything, but you show that there's some bad shit going on. You show the effects of it. That's really good filmmaking. You don't need to see everything. I'm sorry. I don't need to see. Sometimes the idea of what's happening is worse than seeing it.
Yeah.
Like, I watched this movie called Sicario, where there's this scene where Benicio del Toro and these other dudes in this special unit are about to torture this drug guy in order to get information. And you don't see the torture. All you see them do is bring in a jug of water.
Yeah.
But you're like, and Benicio del Toro getting real aggressive with this dude, like throwing his crotch in the guy's face. Like, I'm about to fuck you. Like, it's bad. It's bad. But you don't see any of it. You don't see any of the torture, but you know in your head, you're like, man, shit's about to get rough. You know, for that guy. You know, and that's basically, like, you don't, like, I don't know why all these filmmakers think, oh, we need to show everything. Sometimes the idea of what's happening is worse than the thing happening itself.
Yeah, because that's what, you know, I know I've heard people who are really into horror movies, you know, the idea of actually not seeing what's happening, but hearing the results of what's happening is a lot more frightening than actually seeing it.
Well, for horror fans, they want to see the whole thing happening, which is why they groan whenever a kill gets shown off screen.
I think it depends on the horror fan. Because, like, for me, as a horror fan, here's the thing, okay? Jump scares are nice. I mean, they're fine and dandy. But to me, it's, like, immature. It's like, it's basically, like, jump scares for me is like someone who has to put ketchup on every single food that they don't like in order to make it palatable.
They were kind of dull, doesn't it?
It's like you're a little kid, you know. It's like, oh, well, you're a fucking little kid, and you can't deal with you have no sophistication in your tastes. Whereas, like, really good horror films, what you don't see is more terrifying than what you do see. Like in John Carpenter's The Thing, T.K. Carter's character gets killed off screen. You don't see it, but all you see is him hearing a noise and him seeing what that noise is. And that's more terrifying in some respects than seeing another character get killed by Blair at the end of the movie.
Pulverized.
Yeah, it's like, you know, like sometimes the idea of what's happening is more terrifying than it happening itself. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just some guy. Just some guy. So I have one more free topic before we wrap things up. I thought this would be a fun one. What's the most disappointing Switch game you've played?
Dawn of the Daybreakers.
Never heard of it.
That NBA Jam rip-off game.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that game was bad. There's a lot of problems with that game.
Yeah. Pinky?
Let's see. I wanted to say ukulele, but I already mentioned that. In a previous podcast.
And that's not just a Switch game. That's on like multiple consoles. It has to be Switch specific, like only on the Switch.
Let's see, only on the Switch.
Yeah.
I said what my game, anything. It was so grindy that I hate it.
All right.
I would actually, since it's Switch specific, I would have to say Mario Odyssey. It wasn't a bad game. It just
you play it, you beat it, and then you just don't come back to it.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a Mario game you come back to, which is kind of sad because I've gone back to Mario Galaxy multiple times, 1 and 2, Super Mario 64. But like Mario Odyssey is like Mario Sunshine, where it's like once you beat it, it's like you're like, yeah, I don't want to come back to this shit, not again.
It's an experience.
I'll say
once, right?
At least to me, yeah.
Okay, my choice would be Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
All right, okay, if that works for you. I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I don't give a shit. It's my channel. The most disappointing Switch game that I've played, and I know this game's also on the Wii U, is Breath of the Wild. Mostly because
it's funny because I'm that doesn't go with 3D Zelda games, and yeah, I could agree with you.
Like for me, the only reason it's disappointing is because a lot of the tropes that I like in Legend of Zelda games aren't in this game. Like Breath
The
of the
Zelda
Wild.
tropes that you are looking for are not in this game.
Yeah, the Legend of Zelda tropes that I like about Legend of Zelda aren't in this game because Breath of the Wild feels like a Legend of Zelda game made to appeal to people who haven't played a Legend of Zelda game before. Which I'm okay with growing the brand and reaching out to different people, but I like dungeons. I like dungeon design. I like going into dungeons and finding like for me, the story of Legend of Zeldas are secondary. I know you're gonna fight your way through some dungeons, find a lot of items, find some heart pieces, level up, grow your character by finding a lot of equipment and shit. But really, the big thing is going to those dungeons. It's the journey, not the end result. But Breath of the Wild, like basically, like it's like you don't really have dungeons in the game. I mean, you do. You have like 4, but like the 4 dungeons you go through in Breath of the Wild just give you like minor upgrades that don't really.
Do much as the grand scheme of things.
Well, some of them actually hurt you. Like the thing that basically gives you a shield against a certain amount of attacks and then resets itself after a day or a certain amount of time in game. It's like if you're trying to learn how to reflect back beam attacks, it fucks up your timing for that. It's like it just the game just kind of feels like they spent so much time trying to get the physics engine to work that the other shit that people like the old school fans like myself like about Legend of Zelda games, they were like, oh, we ain't got time for that. We got to get this physics engine to work. Which I mean,
which you hope that Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2 fixes, but
yeah.
you're not.
It may or may not. At this point, I've kind of written off Breath of the Wild. Like, I might even stay away from it just because it's got the name. But that's okay because Link's Awakening, the remaster of the remaster is coming out. And I'll probably get that because I like Breath of the Wild, and I like Link's Awakening. I think it's my second favorite 2D top-down Legend of Zelda game. And I just said that off the top of my head, but it's true because my first is Link to the Past. My second is Link's Awakening. Although people, like, when they show redos, they always show the original one on the Game Boy, and I'm like, that's not the one I really like playing. I like the DX version that's in color. With the color palettes and shit. But yeah, that was disappointing to me. I know some people love it. I'm not going to cast aspersions on you to like it, but I just was like... I played it. I beat it. I tried. I played the game. I beat the game by, maxing my character twice with max hearts and then one with max stamina with less hearts. Then I beat the game with like 4 heart pieces and fought my way into Hyrule Castle without beating any of the Mechazords and then beat it that way. And I don't see it. Like people like, I love this game. It's so awesome. I'm like, I'm not seeing it.
It's the one thing that I just realized through all your playthroughs. That's odd, or it's just me that I noticed that you never grabbed the Master Sword.
No. When I say I max out the character, I do that too. I get the Master Sword. I do all the shit that you're, like, quote-unquote supposed to do in a Legend of Zelda game. It's just Breath of the Wild is not fun to me like other Legend of Zelda games. I don't know why. It could just be my tastes have changed. Could be just because the way the game is designed doesn't appeal to me as much. I don't know. But just, like, I'm not... I guess it's because there aren't really...
You're spoiled on Skyrim or something like that, too.
Not really, because I love Twilight Princess. I love Wind Waker, even though Wind Waker has kind of a shitty amount of dungeons in it. I love Ocarina of Time,
and too
Majora's
much water.
Mask. And the island thing doesn't bother me because it's Wind Waker. You're in the middle of an ocean, and how the fuck else are you gonna get from place to place unless you either fly or have a boat? And Wind Waker doesn't really have flight; it has a boat, so you got to use the boat.
I was gonna make the comment that most people hate going all, especially for one certain challenge.
Yeah, the triumph, getting the Triforce pieces is the bitch of Wind Waker. That's the one part of
that. They fixed that in the Wii U version, but
But they still didn't fix it because you still had to travel for at least 5 of those pieces. You still had to travel around like a maniac. Like I'm like, it would have been better had they just made it so that like they were like little dungeons that you went through to get those pieces, rather than
Yeah, you're not fishing.
yeah, that would have been better. But whatever. It doesn't. I still like Wind Waker. Like Wind Waker for me is like it's a game that initially I stayed away from because I didn't like the art style, but then I came back to it after I got I found it on sale at like a GameStop for like $20 brand new. I was like, fuck it, I'll buy it. And I played it. I'm like, this is a pretty good Legend of Zelda game. If you can get past, like, here's the thing, okay? For people who have a bias, if you can get past the art style, there is a deep Legend of Zelda game in there. It's not flawless. There's not a lot of dungeons in the game, which I think for 3D Legend of Zelda games, it has the least amount of it had the least amount of dungeons for a 3D Legend of Zelda game up to that point. Like I think the new title goes to Breath of the Wild because technically there's only 5 dungeons in that game. But
The four big dungeons in Ganon's place.
basically, yeah, there's only 5 dungeons in the game. So Breath of the Wild has the least amount of dungeons in Legend of Zelda game. For me, since dungeon design and how you traverse those dungeons and how you use the items in those dungeons to solve puzzles is a big highlight for Legend of Zelda for me.
It's actually tied with Majora's Mask for the least amount of dungeons.
Yeah, but the thing about Majora's Mask is that you had the spike. Okay, I'm gonna count the mini dungeons together as a dungeon. So you've got the 4 dungeons in Majora's Mask.
And might as well count.
No, you've got 5. You've got the 5 dungeons in Majora's Mask because Ikana Castle also counts as a dungeon. So that's 5. Then you've got the fucking spider mansions, which I'm not going to count individually each of those as a dungeon, but all of them basically are a dungeon. Combined, that's 1 dungeon. Then you've got the mini dungeons in Majora's on the moon, which, I mean, let's call that a dungeon. So that's 7 dungeons. It's 7 dungeons. I mean, it's not great, but it's pretty good. But, I mean, let's not forget, Majora's Mask is essentially an expansion to Ocarina of Time. It's not, like... I never considered Majora's Mask to be a full Legend of Zelda game by itself anyway.
Yeah, judging by the fact that it took them a year to make, I mean, that's...
Yeah, they didn't have the time to really add the type of stuff. But if you stack it against other full big console, it has the least amount of dungeons. Like Ocarina of Time, you had 4 dungeons in the pre-time jump. The dungeon at the bottom of the well, the 3 dungeons, the earth, the forest dungeon, the water dungeon, and the fire dungeon. Then you've got the dungeon at the bottom of the well, and then you've got half of the spirit temple. So that's 4.5. Then, as an adult, you've got the forest temple, the fire temple, the water temple, the spirit temple, the shadow temple, half of the spirit temple, plus Ganon's tower. So that's like, 10 at that point?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's 10. And then you go to Wind Waker, and you've got, Wind Waker had the least, because you had 3 dungeons before you go to the bottom of the ocean, to Hyrule. And then you've got another 2 dungeons after that. Well, plus Ganon, so that's 6. And then you got, 7. So you got 7 dungeons. And that was kind of, because you could feel in the progression of Wind Waker that there was a dungeon missing. There was 2 or 3 dungeons that were missing in that game, progression-wise. And then you get to Twilight Princess, which had a huge amount of dungeons. Way more dungeons than should have been there, but a lot of dungeons. I think 13 dungeons in that game. A ridiculous amount. It's still, the Legend of Zelda that has the most dungeons to this point, though, is still Link to the Past. That game had a lot of dungeons. And all of them were unique. Except for Ganon's Tower, which was it's
Or...
No, because it was remixes of other dungeons in there. But I mean, I'll give it to them because there were so many other dungeons in that game that I'm like, okay, yeah, why not? I'll let that pass. And then you have Breath of the Wild, which basically had 5 dungeons. 5.
Yep.
And it gave you one of the most insulting side quests of all.
What's you mean the Deku the Deku Sea doo-doo trophy? the doo-doo trophy. No, I think the most insulting part of Breath of the Wild for me was the final boss fight. I don't mean like fighting against Dr. Robinson Ganon, who looked like Dr. Robinson from the Lost in Space reboot. Not the one on Netflix, the movie where Dr. Robinson turns into a spider creature and he's like running around and shit. Like, I mean, like, yeah, he looked like that. But the thing that bothered me was just like the final boss fight with Ganon in his giant pig form, where literally, like, you like every time he uses his attack, you run away from him, and then his weak spot glows. Like, hit me here. I'm like, really? You couldn't come up with a better boss fight?
That's a trope.
Really?
That's a video game trope.
We've had better Ganon boss fights in other games, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, why is it like
that's not just a better boss fight requirement, but that's a boss villain trope right there.
I mean, you've got all this technology and you couldn't come up with a better final boss fight against Ganon? Seriously? I mean, like, here's the thing. My problem, like, there are normal enemies that you run across in the game, like high-level Lionels that give more of a challenge than fucking Ganon. That's sad. That is... Someone needs their ass beat for that decision. But aside from that, yeah, that was disappointing for me. I mean,
seriously, glowing weak spot. That's one of the tropes that's one of the video game tropes that nearly every villain suffers.
And it was the first game I bought for my Nintendo Switch, which really angers me because I was like, yeah, like everyone's like, hey, you gonna get Breath of the Wild for the Wii U? No, I'm gonna get it for the Switch because I'm gonna transition because Twilight Princess for the Wii is so much better than the GameCube version, and literally like Breath of the Wild.
But that is a bit more. Is the Wii and the GameCube versions of those errors?
What? Not really. No. Like a lot of the aiming with the Wiimote for a lot of the like combat is better. Fishing is much better with the Wiimote. A lot of little mini games are more fun with the Wiimote. It's like the Wiimote gives it that edge where it's like, oh, this is better. But with the Switch, it's like it's the opposite. It's like, really, it's not really making it better. Oh well. I mean, that's my opinion. That was my most disappointing Switch game. Hopefully, the sequel will be better. That being said, anyone have anything they want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
Oh, do you want to mention that there's a recently discovered creature that supposedly resembles Pikachu.
Wow, that's is it a rat? It's a
No,
rodent of some type?
No, it's some type of bacterial, some kind of living bacterial thing.
Oh, well, shit. I hope it doesn't fuck with me because the bacteria are disgusting.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah. Okay, so anyone have anything else they want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, I've only have one thing to say before we wrap things up, and that is, please free Rockman Volnut from the moon, Capcom. You bastards.
Give Volnut an ending.
Yeah, can we just give us a fucking ending? Actually, that thing looks nothing like Pikachu. I don't know why that's just weird.
I think this would be as good a time as to send ourselves to the closing credits.
Yeah, so basically, since no one had anything they wanted to pimp out, I guess I'll wrap it up with my pimp out. So this is Mr. Red Fox with BS Busters.
I know you did a new video.
At gmail.com. I'm doing a video this week when I have free time because I took a day off for next week. So, like, one day I will not have to work. So I'm basically going to make that video then because I've captured enough footage for Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, but I need to capture some footage for the prequel for the previous game in order to contrast and compare between the two because they're two completely different games, even though they're set in the same universe. So yeah, that'll be coming later this week. So if you want to reach the channel, you can reach me at mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com. That's mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com, all lowercase. Or you can reach me at Twitter at Matthew Wesley. That's capital MATTHEW space capital WESLEY at mrredfox91 on Twitter, which you can reach me at. Keep your questions, comments civil. We do not deal with trolls here. I don't. Like, if you troll my channel, I will just block you. Because I don't have time for that. I don't have this channel for trolls. I have this channel
And also,
for
if
legitimate...
anything, you invite people to come on to this place, right?
Yes. If you would like to be a part of the podcast, you can join.
Yeah, I've already linked an invite to our server and another server.
Yeah, so if someone wants to come in, they can come in. You can join the podcast. You can bring your own topics. As long as they're video game related or pop culture related, they're good. You can even bring book related topics. That's good too. With that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. Fuck EA and Sony. And that's it.
And hype response.